Hi everyone, this is Kelly from The Truth in Story, and I'm here to do a quick walkthrough of the Secrets of the Mystic Grove, because it's how I just got it today, and that's how some people have asked me, how do you like connect with a new deck? Well, one of the things that I do is I do a walkthrough. Whether or not I'm going to share it or not, I do a walkthrough, and so I might as well do a walkthrough for everybody else. So this is a new deck by US Games. Can we just again give a big hoop and hurrah for US Games and Llewellyn for really stepping it up with boxes and such. I know, people are like, we don't care about the box at the beginning of videos and things, but it is important to some people, and it is somewhat important to me. It's not a deal breaker or maker, but it is important. This is a nice little Oracle box. So I really had seen this, and I liked some of the images, but I really had intended to not get this one. But Foxfire Tarot on Instagram, she has convinced me that this was one that I would love. And so I thought, you know what, I'm just going to try it out. Because one of the things that made me decide to try it is because I'm looking for Oracle decks and things that really work well with my own Lenormand deck, because obviously I'm using that a lot. And so I'm also in the process of painting my Oracle deck, which is similar, right, in terms of color. And so like the Soulflower Oracle, which had really bright colors, and then this deck, I felt like the color tones are just bright and vibrant, and I'm really drawn to that right now. And so I thought, okay, I'm just going to give it a try. It has tons of animals in it, which I'm really working with right now. It has flowers in it, which I'm really working with right now. And so the downside for me is one of the reasons why I had ruled out getting this was because there's quite a few of the cards that just have these random women with lots of things in their hair. There's really no male energy whatsoever, other than if you want to pull it in from the animal cards. There's no men. I think there's a little boy in one of them, but other than that, there's no men whatsoever. And I'm just kind of, not where I'm looking for in Oracle at the moment. I'm looking for much more balanced energy, but the colors are vibrant, the animals are amazing, the plant life and stuff is amazing, and I did hear that the guidebook discusses those things, or at least mentions what they are, which is a 2 thumbs up for me, but we'll see. And it's actually, the guidebook is written by our very own Arwen Lynch. I'll put a link to her YouTube channel below. I say our very own because she's active in the community and has a YouTube channel, so I will put a link there below. Did the guidebook, and the artwork is by Mary Elaine, I suppose that's how you say Thomas. So there we have it. It's just come out this year. It comes in a nice little tuck box. It cost me, I think it was about $16 on Amazon. I'm sure retail is obviously higher than that, but Amazon tends to be a little bit cheaper. So, and again, by US Games. So it comes in a hard tuck box, or not tuck box, a hard Oracle style box. These boxes you generally do see with Oracle decks. And so it comes with one of those with bright blue. Again, vibrant colors. It matches the theme of the rest of the deck. Very vibrant. It comes with a so sweet bound little guidebook that has 95 pages in it. Does not have images of the cards, but I've heard that the text by Arwen is quite lovely, and so it's just really sweetly done. I love the little bird. We have an introduction there, and then it goes right into the cards, which give you the title of the card, the keywords, and then quite a good amount of description of the, we'll read a couple of these, a description, that type of thing, how you would read it, and then 3 journal prompts, as well as a little space to write in. So it kind of makes it more of a little journal thing, or even if you don't use this to write in, which I probably wouldn't, it does give you those sort of, if this comes up, what are some questions that you could be at? What could this prompt you to ask yourself? So I do like the inclusion of the questions. That's nice. So let's just take a look at the writing here, because again, I've heard that the guidebook is quite lovely. So here we have the first card, and you can see there's all these birds and flowers in her hair, and we have on the card itself the number, the title, or the name of the card, the awakening, and then the keywords are on the card: attraction, beginning, newness, and communing. And so we have spring is a time of awakening and renewal. Birds, butterflies, bees, and blossoms all begin their life cycles anew. The sleeping world begins to rouse from its dormant state. Barn swallows, those amazing aerial acrobatics, swoop in as harbingers of the coming of regenerative cycles. Which we see these barn swallows here. So it tells us what is the name of the bird. They revel in flying together. Flowers serve as a reminder that the liminal time of waking is beautiful if fleeting. I really like that. Open your eyes up to the world around you. Seek out new places, people, and experiences. Let your thoughts blossom to all the possibilities as infinite options unfold before you. As you awaken to the new days, remember to put any sorrow aside. I'm not sure that part I completely agree with. I don't think we have to set all sorrow aside to begin again, but I get the basic idea. Instead, focus on listening to the song of birds, the hum of bees. Shed your own cocoon for a shiny new you. Consider making art that celebrates birth and beginnings. It may be time for you to find others to commune with, those who are soaring in the same direction as you. Make a point of looking for new connections. When you see this card, you are being invited to be Persephone in your own world. Emerge from your sheltered space. Focus on the clear, bright vision of your world as you need it to be. Now is the time to release your inner vernal goddess. Awakening to your own desires will bring you untapped joys. So you can see there's quite a bit going on there. I do wish, again, and I think we see this in some of them. We're going to look a couple more. I do wish it literally said like what these flowers were. That would be really neat. We know that these are barn swallows here, but it would have been lovely to know like what these different flowers were, although I can guess some of them. Just because they're so prominent in the deck. Like it does in this one, for example. Let's just read one more just so you can get an idea of the feel of the guidebook. This is the dreaming card of gifts, receiving, and dreams. The dreamer reclines against a leopard. So here we can see the animal as a leopard, while the nightingale brings her a star. Stargazer lilies hang down to lend their quiet song. The nightingale is a small, modest bird that goes unnoticed until it begins to sing. Under a veil of twilight, the nightingale's song illuminates your inner desires. The leopard is easy to miss when it is blending into the foliage. Even the lily grows quiet, waiting to be seen. What is in your heart that waits to be noticed? Take some time to open up the secret wanting of your soul. By acknowledging that it exists, you nurture it. Maybe your dreams have been answered in subtle ways. Examine what you're asking for, then review what you already have. Consider the seemingly insignificant pieces of your life. There may be puzzle pieces that you just need to slide into place. If you knew the stars would answer, what would you ask them? Take some time to go outside just to gaze at the heavens. Imagine your biggest dreams, then invite friends to dream with you. When you share your hopes, you find others who will support you as you support them. The quiet, shy nightingale brings a gift, so remember to pay attention to your wallflower friends. There is a harmony in your world that should be acknowledged. Be grateful for both wild leopard friends and the soft-spoken ones. Both bring wisdom to you as you look to the stars. Quiet answers to dreams are waiting for you. Journal prompts. What does it mean to dream? Who supports me in my dreams? Who challenges me, and how do I meet those challenges? So I do like that. See, it's literally, so okay, here we have a leopard. Here we have a nightingale. Here we have a stargazer lily. I love the when they actually talk about what the art is and why it's there. So so there we have a couple examples. And so it goes through, again, here in the next one, it's laying among the poppies. A meadowlark prepares to burst in sign. There's a lion next to them. So we definitely have The fox here, the next one, bluebirds. So it does talk about what the animals are and some of the flowers, and that's really nice. I greatly appreciate that in Oracle decks. So it goes through obviously all of the cards, and there are 44 of them. And then it has Mystic Meadow spread. What is the primary thing you need to be aware of? What changes do you need to make? And what is the best possible outcome? So it has one 3-card spread at the back of the book, which we'll do after we look through the cards. So I'm going to definitely read through this. But so far, definitely 2 thumbs up there because, again, look at the backs. How gorgeous are these backs? I love, obviously they're not reversible because you have this wash going on that goes from blues to greens. It's absolutely stunning and I adore it. So there we have that. Let me zoom in just a little bit closer. Just a little bit closer. Something, I think it's probably the wrong words. Oh well. Okay. So we talked about number 1 is awakening. Number 2 is dreaming. Number 3 is ask. So you can see a very, and this is something in one of the couple of the reviews that I read, it was pointed out that you do see sort of repetitive. So example, here we have a woman reclining and she has a bird on her finger. Here we have a woman reclining, instead of with a leopard, it's with a lion with a bird on its finger. I love the poppies in here. So we do get some sort of repetitive themes in the deck, but we do have different animals here. So that is, how do we tap into those energies and what would that add to it? So what does it make the difference? So we have launch, soar, and request, which is interesting because here the little nightingale is bringing a star to her, whereas here we actually have the bird about to launch off her fingers, right? What is the difference between a poppy and a stargazer lily? What is the difference between a leopard energy and a lion energy? And that does change the energy of the card in terms of a divinatory sense. But in terms of visually, I think you do have some repetitive patterns, even though they're not the exact same, the same images. So ask, we have launch, soar, and request. Then we have some that just have animals, which I love. I truthfully absolutely love this deck, minus any people whatsoever, but that's just me. So here we have a fox, obviously, as alliance. And I'm going to put this up so we have it. And so he has bluebirds, which I adore bluebirds. So there we have alliance, connections, unity, creative solutions, which I like with the fox. The idea of creative solutions go with my understanding of fox energy. Here we have a woman, again, this kind of idea of women with the things in their hair is quite common as well. We can definitely see a cactus is here. And this, I believe, is a pheasant. Let me look here. Wears a colorful pheasant. Her attention to be her authentic self. And then she has a barrow cactus, both as a warning and an invitation. So again, the book is telling us why those are there. And that is something that I really love. Sovereignty, independence, and uniqueness. So then this one is just animals. I love this one. It's gorgeous. This is observation. So we obviously have scarlet poppies it talks about. It does talk about, obviously we have a rabbit. Now we have different colors of birds here. It would have been nice for me. Again, this is just me because I'm in the midst of really paying attention to animal energy and flower energy. So I would love to know, like, what are these different birds? Can I find that out? Sure. I can do the work to find that out. But I would love to have known what these actual birds are. They seem to be different kinds of finches, maybe. But it's quite beautiful. It looks like an iris perhaps there, as well as the mane of the beautiful scarlet poppies. Patience, attention, pause, and watchful, which does look that way. Love it. So then here, I love this trust card, overcoming fear, intentions, and having faith. We obviously have an owl up here. And that has a question, why feed a tiger strawberries? Because she's actually feeding him strawberries. Perhaps to share simple joy, or maybe it's to overcome a fear. The tiger is wary of the unusual offerings, and the barefoot young woman is cautious of the tiger. So they're both cautious and wary, but they're going to overcome their fear, which I do quite like. Let me see if it talks about the owl. Yeah, consider the position of the owl who merely observes. So we do have mention of the owl there. So that's quite lovely. I really like that card. That's a little bit different too, because it's not that reclining woman or the woman with the hair. So I'm just kind of making some piles to get a feel for it. Here we have protection, warrior, safety, and acts of kindness. So we have, you know, I don't get a strong warrior sense from her. She does have an acorn in her hand. She does have an arrow in her hand, and she's got a random mask on. But it says behind the mask is the heart of a warrior. She's protective of what she calls her. This goddess of the forest holds an acorn as well as an arrow. Her companions, the fawn and the wren, trust her to care for them. The acorn is hers because she will nurture it, make sure it has a chance to grow to a mighty oak. So again, it really does mention the different things here, which I quite enjoy. Warrior, safety, and acts of kindness. Here we have another more scenic one, which we have togetherness, loyalty, fellowship, and bonding. We have leopards and lions and a regular cat. So we have these big cats and little cats. We've got a peacock up in the up ahead. It's a gathering and bonding with those of like mind. These are all cats, even though they're different kinds of cats, obviously. But that's quite interesting as well, bringing all the cats together. And you can have that sense of togetherness and bonding over some similarities, right? I do like this with the book. So there is a, you know, again, one of the reasons that I wasn't interested in this deck was just because there were just all of these women. Again, I have nothing against women. I love women. I love goddess energy. But I just, you know, it's like this has an overabundance of, but it makes a little sense. You got a little bit of that sense of Gaia type energy where it's really connected with the earth and the animals and the plant life, that kind of thing. So I get it. This is imagination. She is talking about the moth. So it does go in and talk about the moth here for conjure, dreams, and create for the imagination, which I quite love. This one, is this on the, yeah, no, nope, it's a different one. It's the peacock. Is it the peacock one? In the hair? Nope, that's not the one on the cover. I've seen this one and it's really beautiful. It's one of the ones I was like, oh, and we also have the moon as well. We have solitude, to rest, ponder, quiet, and sanctuary. And it talks about pine cones and poinsettias, snow-covered twigs, and a snowy owl. So you also get a sort of winter feel while you have a lot of spring feel and summer energy so far. This brings in a little bit of winter energy as well, which is quite beautiful. I love that. Woman with it. Just kind of putting. So then here you can see again a little bit of repeated similar style cards. So we've got a woman walking kind of through the forest. Instead we have with just the, I guess this would be a leopard here, and the poppies and a flamingo and lots of butterflies here. But you kind of see it's like there's a pattern to some of the kinds of cards, but I do feel like they have a different feel to them. So this is celebrate mystery, trust the journey. This is a dark forest with a woman walking, again barefoot. I love barefoot people. With a cheetah by her, sorry. Moths and butterflies mingle in the twilight sky. All is as it should be, other than the strange bird that she doesn't see. The secrets of the fort present themselves in unexpected ways. And it does address that, like in the questions. It says, who and what is the pink flamingo in my life, right? What is this kind of random something that may be out of ordinary for the situation, and where is that going on around you. So I do like this. It's kind of something that just comes out of the blue, and it doesn't really fit with the rest, but that's where you can really think, okay, how does this fit into my bigger whole? What does this have to say to me? It also asks us to pay attention for those random unexpected moments. So I do like the message here. I don't know, I'd be really curious as to whether this was pre-existing art that then Arwen went in and made the guidebook. If that's the case, again, I already giving her 2 thumbs, but I'll give her 3 thumbs up, because I do think she's doing a good job, a really good job at pulling those kind of the images into the oracle of the text. So I do think that's quite lovely. Here we have bloom, recognition, acknowledgement, being seen. So of course we have some beautiful sunflowers and zinnias. It does point that out. And we do see hummingbirds as well. And she again talks about that within the guidebook. Recognition, acknowledgement, and being seen. Obviously, if you're walking around with that in your hair, you're going to be seen. This one is on the cover. This is the confidence card, pride, poise, and assurance. Of course, we have a peacock here, which is sacred to Hera. They make note of in the guide, or makes note of. Does it talk about orange blossoms? So there's an orange here and orange blossoms. So again, it mentions these. I really do like how well the guidebook pulls in with the cards. That's a big plus to me. Again, you can see this theme, and I'll talk a little bit more about that when we're done because I'm making piles. But here we have, she has seeking knowledge. So again, we have the owl, which makes sense. This is the great horned owl. We've got mushrooms here. The colors and fruits of fall. So now we have fall. We definitely have the spring of the very first card, reflecting spring. And then we have the winter. Sorry, Isabel's chit-chatting. So we have spring, winter, winter, and fall. So we'll see if there's one specific. A lot of these I think could go to summer. Actually, I would certainly see this one even as summer. So you could pull in some of the seasonal energy as well. So that, I like to see that. Here we have listen. So she's listening to a red-winged blackbird. Again, I love that that's there. We also see what looks to be a moth here in the background, which I quite like. But they're obviously listening to each other, which I quite, it's really lovely. But that's, so we've got somebody with the bird on the finger, which again, if you have a lot of birds, you're probably going to end up with a few with them on their finger. But, so here we have repose with obviously poppies. She obviously loves poppies, which I do as well. And a velvet winged moth on her fingers here. So we have the moth energy as well as the poppy energy, which makes sense for repose and laying down. Take a pause, respite, time out. Here we have the council, group meeting and advisors. So we have obviously ostrich, leopard, deer, bird, and fox. All, so she's got a fox here, a leopard here, ostrich, a fawn. We also have a bird here on up here. So we have all of this different energy coming together and getting information from them. Trying to, sorry, I'm making my piles. Secrets, I quite like this one. You've got her kind of whisper confidence and sharing, obviously with the fox and the poppies. I love foxes, I love poppies, so I do like the predominance of foxes and poppies here. Quite lovely. Here we have another all animal one. Again, I would love a whole deck like this because I do love her artwork. This says look ahead, visionary planning and preparation. Obviously we have a stag and he has swallows in his horns. I think it's absolutely gorgeous. Here we have letting go. So it's going to get ready to release, obviously, this owl here. She also has butterflies in her hair to remind herself that some things are impermanent. So that's beautiful. Again, love that connotation there of, or the way that Arwen is connecting the image, what's in the image, to the guidebook. Here we have beauty, which is quite beautiful. Orange blossoms and maidenhair in her hair. The flower maidenhair represents beauty and love, and the little bird reminds her to be confident. So again, I do love that we've got, what is this? Because I wouldn't have known. I don't know which one of these I think is maidenhair, but I can look that up and see, and I love that. So love, love, love. We also have a bee over here. So sometimes there's little random things, like here's a little random bee here as well that I didn't know. Actually, I wonder if that's her artist mark. I see that down here as well. I don't see it in all of them at a glance, but I also haven't looked really close. Yep, here's one here. I wonder if that's her artist mark. I'll have to look that up. But it's not at all jarring, so that's nice. Much better than somebody's name or something like that. So then this one I have saw, and I had, had read a couple reviews, because again I had thought of getting this and I wasn't 100% sure. I agree, this one stands out as it doesn't really look like it's finished, and it doesn't feel like it's part of the same deck. I would be almost inclined to leave this one out, just because I'm not going to, at least at first, but it doesn't feel like the same deck. The art doesn't have the same intricate backgrounds, things going on. Even when it's plain blue, you've got stuff going on in the backgrounds. This one's a little bit less stuff going on in the background, but it just doesn't feel like it's part of the same deck. But we have that idea of adventure, being up in the clouds. Again, there is that bee mark. So experience, taking risks, and wish. So we've obviously got the children on a tiger. Oops, I've gone past the... Let's see what they say about this one. 2 children are taking the ride of their lifetime. They represent our I can't, I shouldn't, and I'll get in trouble if I do, that yearning for adventure, but just kind of as a child going off and going on to it. So, and the questions are like, what is something I want to do or see when I was younger? How can I be more adventurous right now? Where would I go if I could go anywhere? So it does ask those good questions. Visually, I feel like it stands out amongst the rest of the cards. Here we have identity, with obviously another mask, so that seems to be an artistic theme for her. Examines a picture of herself as a child. I quite love that. Her rabbit is a descendant of the one in the locket. She remembers her childhood dreams, wondering where that little girl has gone. I love that. That's really neat. That's really neat. I quite love that. Masked pile. Here we have a release. Didn't we just have a release? Let's see. Letting go. I think I also read about this. So here we have actually 2 cards that are very similar. So if you even look, release, the very first thing is letting go, freedom and healing, and then the letting go, the very first keyword is release, farewell, and impermanence. But this apparently, if you just read the guidebook from what I was reading, has a little bit more to do with releasing in order to have healing, whereas this is just understanding impermanence and understanding that not everything stays the same. So a slight connotation shift there, but this we really are focused on healing, but we do, obviously it's interesting because letting go and release and letting go, it's kind of for a small deck, or not small, but for a standard 44 card deck, to have 2 that are really kind of almost the same, or you could use them in both the same way, as a little bit redundant. But I do like that you can at least find a way to differentiate those 2. Obviously we have a beautiful swan here oh, I think it's a beautiful swan. Yeah, swan feathers, and she has a swan in her hand. So here we have just a beautiful owl, which I love. Acknowledgement, seeing, knowing, and acceptance. We have a snowy owl as well as the moths dancing about her, but the owl isn't going after them, right? It's got other things to do at the moment. That's a beautiful. Again, I really love the straight animal cards. Here we have Unravel for puzzle, conundrum, or solution. And she's playing Cat's Cradle, which I quite like. I used to play this all of the time. It soothes her as she focuses on a puzzle in her mind. A cat, which I quite like, Cat and Cat's Cradle, rests watching the strings dance between her fingers. And it talks about the flowers that, again, look like poppy, maybe-ish, poppy kind of style ones. Remind her to listen for solution from unexpected sources. So again, whether this was pre-existing artwork or not, I feel like Arwen has done an amazing job at pulling what's in the card into the guidebook. Love, love, and love. Love the Cat's Cradle going on here. I'm running out of spaces for my piles. Here we have conflict. Two birds face off in a bramble of flowers with no one to watch but the insects around them. Neither one want to give way. Again, I don't feel like these are exactly fighting or anything like that, but you do have a little bit of a standoff, a beautiful standoff with these birds. I'd love to know what these birds are. They may not. I mean, look at those. It probably wouldn't be hard to find, but maybe they're just a fantasy bird. Discord, I like that there is a conflict card. That's another thing I'll have to go through and see. Letting go, and as both of the release and the letting go have connotate protection, conflict. So there are a few at least that are not, not all, it's not affirmation so much. I feel like this, in terms of keywords, while I could certainly see some more shadow being brought in, I do feel like there are some action-oriented things you could do with these versus just go you, everything's wonderful, beauty, all these kind of affirming words. I feel like there are words that would help you to know what you had to do in a situation. So we'll see. So conflict. Here we have winning with a croquet mallet in her hand, I guess. That's a red-headed flicker on her, on here. So I love that when it says the name of it. Both of these players stare fixedly ahead. In their eyes, the only thing is the game. So they're really focused on succeeding and getting victory and having a good outcome. So here we have that. Seeing differently, we have flowers. Yeah, that must be her artist mark. We've got obviously flowers on her eyes. We have a barn swallow, which she seems to quite love. It's an unusual companion, but this woman doesn't care what others think. She is decorating her life with the unusual. She wears a self-applied mask of daisy petals so that she can always remember to look at life differently. Uniqueness, roles, and variations, seeing differently. So again, I just have a sense that these may have been pre-existing artwork, but I'm really impressed with how it's been pulled together. And I could be completely wrong. I need to do a little reading before I do this to see if... to see how that came about, but I quite love it. I quite love it. We'll look at the introduction when I'm done. So seeing differently. Here we have celebration, bliss, joy, delight. I do really enjoy the changing colors on the bottom a lot. I love that very large, I think that might be a peasant. Let's see. Yes, a Ladies Amherst peasant purchase. That's a big chunky peasant. I love it. A symbol of good luck lends an ethereal beauty to a woman. See, it's a symbol of luck. I love that. So let's see where it talks. It talks about a butterfly being there from flower to flower, reminding you to enjoy the sweetness of each moment. Doesn't really say what those particular flowers are, but that is really beautiful. Here we have the key, mystery, moving forward, and knowledge. So obviously we have a fawn here, and she has a key around her neck. She seeks to hold the deer, but the deer must be set free if it is to learn the mystery of its own existence. The girl isn't watching for what is coming like the wise forest creature. Instead, she has her head turned, looking back at where she was. Her lesson will be discovering that the answer she seeks is in front of her, not behind her. So again, really going specifically at what we see here into the reading of the card. So here we have the key. Tenacity for the badger, which I quite like. She will not give in when she is challenged. Dedication, determination, and even stubbornness. So, you know, it has a little bit of shadow there where that could definitely be, could go to the end of stubbornness, right? Here we have a community with a beehive. So she's got honeycomb in her hair. Obviously lots of different flowers and an actual butterfly. Do we have, we actually have a bees here, not just the bee mark, but we do have bees. So we have that idea of community. I felt like we had a community card, togetherness. So to me, community and is a little bit similar. Togetherness, loyalty, fellowship, bonding, contribute, I guess, to your community, communicating to your community, your tribe. I think that those are quite similar. I mean, they're not the same, but they are quite similar, like the other two that we saw, where you can read them differently, but there is a similarity there. So a little bit of maybe redundancy, but still quite beautiful. Love this bear. Absolutely love this bear. Rewards, abundance, bounty, and sharing. The black bear has found its reward in the form of bright red, juicy red pomegranates. It talks about the birds being California quails. That they're going to actually reap, you know, when he pulls the pomegranates down and makes the big old mess he's going to make, they actually are going to be able to get at the seeds. So I quite like that as well. It's a sharing of abundance. Plus it's just gorgeous. I do like this one. Another repose one, or laying down with an animal. Contemplation, reflections, rumination, and musing. The tigers are taking, her and the tiger are taking time to muse about life in general. Here we have serenity, which is quite a lovely word. It's one of my favorite words. Divide, oops, wrong one. Compassion, acceptance, and contentment. She is so serene that the tiny bluebird has sought her out. She hears only the delightful song of her cobalt-feathered friend. So that is beautiful. Serenity. Here we have another just animals with yellow-headed blackbirds. For distance, there is divide, separation, and discord. Again, I'm not seeing a whole lot of discord here, and I'm glad that shadow word is in the card. Visually, I don't see so much to do with but this has kind of got its back turned to them. It's, you know, they're kind of together, it talks about, but they're in the same space, but they're actually separated and not really, you know, not perched up next to each other. So that's a little bit of a stretch, but at least, you know, in terms of the keywords, you can certainly go there. A waiting card for alertness, preparation, and watchfulness with these great horned owls. Here we have sanctuary with retreat, haven, refuge, and oasis. Finding a sanctuary. The lady in blue retreats to the mystic grove where she has created a flower fort of stargazer lilies. She cradles her head listening to the flutter of the only invited guest, a butterfly. It's kind of, a fort is kind of her chrysalis, which she'll be ready to emerge in a better space once that is done. Here we have decision. Two tiny birds cling to branches where the berries are not yet ripe. Our birds watch the berries, waiting for that perfect moment of plump, sweet tenderness. So here we have choice, opportunity, but also idea of being selective. Here we have direction, navigation, guidance, and signs that we can see with the compass in her hand. Obviously, she has birds in her hair as well. It doesn't say what kind of birds those are. She's got a nest on her head. Here we have unity, connectiveness, harmony. Again, that I feel like is a little bit redundant. These are indigo, the beautiful indigo banner threads its way, I guess here, amongst the peonies and vines, connecting everything into one unified scene. A pair of chickadees perch while butterflies hover here and there. So this is more of like a Zen space, but I feel like we've kind of got that energy and sanctuary and serenity, and some of the togetherness and those kinds of things. So we definitely have some similar tones to some of the cards, but really beautiful. And then the last one is rhythms for groundedness, nature, and earth. A graceful northern flicker rests on a thin stem, ready to hop back down to earth. Talking a lot about earth here, which is interesting because I don't think of groundedness and rhythms still as exactly the same, but just the overarching, I guess, cycles and rhythms of the natural world. So there we have all of the cards. So let me zoom out. Okay, you can see this is what happens where you're not seeing things, right? Just some piles, just so I can kind of get a feel for, that one should really go there. So I have this one kind of on its own because it doesn't artistically feel like the rest of the deck. I have a pile of all these are just animals and birds, so no humans. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 11, 12. So definitely a little more than a quarter of the deck being animals only. I have a nice pile of these kind of women with things in their hair. I do really like the quite clear, for me, summer, autumn, winter, and spring energy that you can tap into in terms of seasons. But we do have, lots of things in the hair here, although this probably should go over there. So we have a lot of those styles. We do have some mask ones. I was just kind of seeing how many mask ones would turn up. We have only 2. I'll have to go back through and look because I don't think that's actually true, because some of them cross over. Like this doesn't really have any animals, no birds or animals, whereas these also don't have, they have butterflies and insects, but no animals or birds, which is just kind of random. I was seeing how many would turn up. A couple walking ones, only 2 of those, although these are kind of similar, like in the forest scenes, or kind of drawn back away instead of being close up on the people, which is quite different than the rest of the deck, these 4. And then we have a few of these kind of laying down, reposing. In terms of energy of the cards, I think the kind of repose and serenity and sanctuary, and this last one, I think I already mixed them. Even that unity was another one. There's some repeated theme, a couple repeated themes, but not too many, and you could certainly find your way through the differences there. I think that of the different ones where we have repeated, there's a couple of them, but I feel like this one has the most sort of similar energy. Again, you can find nuances, but you have alliance, so like making connections with other people, but it's kind of for the idea of allying with somebody to, I guess, to do something. We have an actual community card. We have a council, so that's bringing people together, although that is a little different in that we're bringing people together in order to get advice from different sources. So I do think that has a different energy. Unity, again, connectiveness, harmony, of kind of bringing people together. But this could also be overall harmony. But we definitely then have togetherness, which again, fellowship and loyalty and kind of coming together. So there are nuanced differences, but there's quite a lot of that kind of energy for, out of 44 cards to have similar, that many kind of cards that could actually maybe have used, could have done it in one sweep, you know, or in 1 card or 2 cards. You know, maybe didn't need 5 cards of that. So that's just kind of how I go through. Now the next thing I would do is just kind of see what might be a little bit in shadow. I don't really see any like shadow cards. There's a couple, but we do often in the keywords, there are a little bit of shadow in the keywords where you can kind of remind you to go there, even if it's not exactly a shadow card, or just make sure that you have a shadow position. But I do feel like it is much more of an active deck than just an affirmation deck. So I'll be interested to see how it reads. So let's see here with this 3 card. So I picked my first card here, Togetherness, my second card from the split, and my third card from the bottom. So here we have, zoom in a little bit so you can actually see. So here we have the primary thing that I need to be aware of is togetherness. It's time to come together, make bonds, connect with people. But I do quite like this one, had a little bit of a differentiation in that these are all cats, right? They're of different kinds, right? We've got cheetahs and lions and the house cat. So we do have that sense of being with like-minded people as well. Could be very helpful. We see that a change, there's some decisions that need to be made, choices, some decisions. I would probably pull something to figure out what more about that decision, but there is some decisions, and the best outcome, it says the third card is what is the best possible outcome, is dedication and determination. I would say stubbornness probably isn't a best outcome, so I would probably go a little bit more with, if I find people around me, right, that are of like mind and similar in whatever the situation is, that I'm going to be able to hold, whatever the decision is, I'm going to be able to hold to that. I'm going to have dedication, I'm going to be determined to hold by having the backing of people who see the situation the same way I do, perhaps, something like that. Again, this is just a tester to show that. But what I would probably do, let me scroll out here a little bit, because we have, you know, a change that needs to be made, and then the answer is I need to make a decision. Well, that doesn't, and maybe given a particular situation and reading, I would know what that was about. But if I didn't, that's when I would probably pull in. So, for example, and this is one of the reasons I got this deck, because I think, again, I'm looking for decks that, I use this obviously a lot, it's my deck, and so I'm looking for decks that, you know, visually really work well with that, because that's just one of the things I like to do. So then what I would probably do here is, if there's a decision that I have to make, I'm going to look to the path card and see what's on either side, and see if that gives me any, maybe even 2 cards on each side, to help to figure out what is the decision that because obviously it's something I really need to hold firm to. And so maybe, and again, this I don't do well with fake readings, because I feel like you don't get real answers, so then it gets kind of you know, it just kind of gets hodgepodge. It's not a real reading. So let's just try taking 2 from each side. So we want to just get a little bit more information about what is that decision that needs to be made. And so we obviously, it's going to lead to some big success, finding the right key for the right door, that sort of opening things up to happiness. So we definitely want to, you know, make the right decision, right? But this is about a transformational journey. This is a journey that is perhaps not straight. The snake for me is that spiral energy of going down. So this is about, perhaps, it's not the stars, so it's not really my life journey, but this is a long going journey. That's why I guess it's important to make a good decision about this, and be able to then stick with that decision, because it's something that's going to be set with for a while. It's not a straight shot. It's going to get a little following the weaves of the snake, right? As well as at the end of it, though, generally it's transformative for me. Again, I read the snake differently than a lot of people do, but there can be that sense of confusion in the fact that we're following windy snake coils, right? And so really being able to have people to help me see through that situation is going to be quite useful. Again, that's why I don't tend to do readings without a specific person in mind, but that's what I would probably do, in the sense that if I get a card like this in a position of, okay, this is what I need to change, but then the change is I need to make a decision. Okay, well, what decision do I need to make? What is it about? What do I need? I need to know more. And then you can take another deck. You can take a deck of tarot cards. You can take a Lenormand deck, are really good for that. You can take playing cards, like runes, like whatever it is that you like to kind of add into the situation, you can add in to get more clarity on the situation or on whatever it is that's going on. So there, just an example. I just wanted you to be able to see the cards in action. I think that I'm going to work with these a little bit, and I will come back. I want to start, you know what, at the end of each month, going back over the decks that I had worked with and kind of talking about them. So you will definitely see this again after I have worked with it a bit and being able to see, okay, how does it work? How does it function as a functioning deck? But I quite think it's beautiful. I would have loved there to have been some males in it. I'm not 100% sure whether it's pre-existing art or not, but I think that Arwen Lynch does an amazing job tying the images into the guidebook, which I really love. So well done on that to Miss Arwen. But yeah, I'm glad I got this. I'm glad Foxfire Tarot convinced me to get it. Again, it's got these bright colors that I'm really loving right now, like with the Soulflower Oracle. I'm so enjoying. Even with the Ostara, it's got these kind of bright colors, very spring energy, summer energy. So you can see this is what I've been working with, because again, it looks really nicely. So for example, which is what I'm looking for, because you all know I do lots of, I do like to use Three Voices reading. It's one of my primary readings. So I'm just, again, normally I would be pulling something specific for the middle, but I'm just trying to show you why I get certain decks. Sometimes it is because I'm looking for something specific. So then, again, no question here. This is just for you to see visually. So then I would pull for the fire and the air and the water. Of course, I didn't really pick any bright cards, but you'll see there's a lot of similar, because I've been using this deck with my deck for the last week with some special readings that I did for leading up to 4th of July, and I really do love the deck in terms of visually with my deck. I didn't pick the best cards to show that, but then, you know, you can pull, then I put an oracle on either side, and so visually it works together really beautifully. So yeah, anyways, these are just different reasonings why people get decks. And for me, one of them is to have sets of things that I think go together well that I'm using, because obviously that's what I do. So I hope that you've enjoyed this, and thank you for taking the time to watch. Check out the Secrets of the Mystic Grove, written by Arwen Lynch, with the artwork by Mary Elaine Thomas.